Hello everybody and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre. I'm John Hindle for a 90.7 around the circuit, RS2 around the world, and of course on the international world feed in a number of places, but primarily on the IMSA YouTube channel. Shay Adam alongside me here in the Global Broadcast Centre. Good afternoon, Shay. My first opportunity to see these cars this weekend, so bring us up to date on who's been doing what to whom and where are the stories.
Well, the most important thing, John, there are not two of Sally Mott in today's race, but there are two of the bright pink Sally Mott racing machines on the grid. That's because the number 68 Steve Weber, who would normally be in a car of a very different livery, had a crash in testing here earlier in the week. Ultimately, it destroyed his car beyond repair north of the border, and rather than drop out of the race weekend, he is using Sally's spare cars. So the pink number 68 is Steve Weber, the pink number 15, which qualified 6th for today's race. Way further up the grid, that still is Sally. But today, during qualifying, we had a very messy session where several drivers were deemed to be going too slow, and the clock reflected that as well. They ran outside of the 107% rule. They ran outside of the 120%, as a matter of fact, meaning that the pole sitter, or the pole winner, Jared Thomas, was not actually given the pole award because he was one of those at fault. Both of the Sato Motorsports cars were also deemed at fault as well, so both of they were taken away. They had their two fastest laps taken away. Unfortunately for Jared, there was more salt in the wound when his car failed tech, so now Jared Thomas, two-time champion in this series, rolling off from the 25th and final grid position.
When this circuit was conceived at the end of the 1950s and built in the 1960s, MX-5s were not yet created. Although in some ways they hark back to sports cars, and particularly British sports cars of the mid-60s era, pared down, really back to basics, motor racing and driving on the roads. This circuit certainly reflects that. It's old school in the best possible way. 10 corners, 3.9k or 2.459 miles. Action areas, well, turn 5 and turn 8, yes, for most places, Moss Corner and heading into the S's. For Mazda MX-5, action areas are everywhere, because where other people can't get side by side, where other people can't make passes, the Mazdas can. Let's take a quick look at the Mazda starting grid. Jared Thomas then at the back after the issues that Shay detailed. JTR Motorsports Engineering, car failing tech. Then Grant West in position number 24 for Spark Performance. Alongside him on row 12, Steve Weber is the first of the rookies we'll talk about with JTR Motorsports Engineering. BSI have Damon Oki for the 22nd position on the outside of row 11. Jim Hepworth, the Rafa Racing Team by MMR alongside. Corey Powell on the outside of row 10 for JTR. Saito Motorsports, Marcello Padacchietta has the inside row and is another one of the rookies. So is Ethan Goulart, who is the Saito Motorsport Group teammate of Marcello. He's in 18th position. Ashton Speed is in 17th for Hendricks Motorsport. BSI have the 8th row of the grid. Christian Hodland on the outside, Noah Harmon, another rookie on the inside, 32 and 7. Bryce Cornet for Spark Performance in 14th position. Parker DeLong in 13th. Justin Adiconis in 12th position for MMR, Montgomery McAleer Racing. Weston Workman, I'm happy with his qualifying, I'm sure, down in 11th position and number 13 for BSI. Bobby Gossett as a rookie sitting in position number 10 is the second best qualifying rookie, and his Montgomery McAleer Racing car will start alongside JTR Motorsports Engineering and Alex Bashura. Then it's Gresham Wagner and Sally Mott on the next couple of positions. Jeremy Fletcher, Nathan Nicholson, Tyler Gonzalez in third position, and on the front row, Elio Meza for BSI, and on pole position after all of the machinations of the penalties, etc. It's Montgomery McAleer Racing and Nate Cicero who will bring them to the line in the light-coloured number 83. Take a deep breath as the clock is set to 45 minutes. A little bit of bumping coming out of White's corner. The green flag is in the air. The clock starts now as they cross the stripe here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The inside row is the pole sitting row. They're still 2 wide and about 25 deep as they go across the line. 25 being the whole field was the point I was trying to make. Through turn 2 now. Oh, big sideways moment at the front of the field. Just about holding on to it. That was tremendous stuff for, who's that, Whelen Mazda, I think, who was coming through as well. But the pole sitter, having made a good start, Shea Adam, is down to 4th position. Nate Cicero bullied out of it and now has 3 cars ahead of him.
Nate Cicero with his 5th pole position of the year, still looking to capitalize as we have not yet had a winner from pole. And Whelen Mazda, bold move around the outside for the driver, the number 27, a rookie, clearly showing a little bit of strength as he has Alessandro racing on the side of his car this weekend. That represents his racing down in Mexico, where he's been participating in stock car racing, as somebody's lost a side sill in all the chaos. But Elio trying to bring a little bit of his winning luck from south of the border up here to Canada. Let's see if maybe we can make that happen for the BSI racing drivers.
Final action of Super Saturday, action with a capital A, and down towards turn 8 for the first time. Mazda in the blue car holds on to the lead. That looks like the gold number 50 of Grant West, who didn't qualify at all well for Spark Performance. Excuse me, Glenn McGree, yes. My apologies, Shea. He was smoking a little bit in the number 69 car. Comes through, and that car is dropping back. The iRacing logo on the bonnet. As through goes Whelen Mazda with all of 0.179 of a second as his lead. And I think Glenn McGee, Shea, is going to have to come into the pits.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. It looks like he's got quite significant damage to the right-hand side. I thought at first maybe the side sill would have belonged to Glenn McGee in that number 69 machine, but no, his is still there. So very, very strange as to where that accident damage occurred. But at the head of the field, it's BSI Racing in the form of Whelen Mazda, led by Tyler Gonzalez in second. Then we have our championship leader, Nathan Nicholson, back in third, with our pole sitter, Nate Cicero, in fourth. But now right behind Nate, that's Jeremy Fletcher, his teammate, and Nate and Jeremy work very well together. I asked Nate earlier on how he felt about being out front without a teammate. He said, that's all right, it won't take them long to catch me. Well, they've certainly caught up to him, but unfortunately resulting in Nate going backwards first.
Yeah, Nathan Nicholson then with that championship lead and the pressure of that coming in to this weekend. Time running out for everybody else to catch him, Shea, but still plenty of points to be won. Nobody really can say in that top 3 or 4 places that they are totally out of it. It only takes one bad weekend in Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup, and we saw that, didn't we? One bad race even sometimes, because finishing in the gravel at the end of Mid-Ohio changed the championship lead coming into this weekend.
It did for Jeremy Fletcher. If he would have just hung on, and trust me, I've had that conversation with him several times this weekend, he would have had a substantial championship lead, and he knows that. He's very upset with himself, but Tyler Gonzalez is upset with himself as he just drives off the outside of the track going through turn 3, manages to get it back on, but he's lost about 7 positions. Jeremy Fletcher aware that his little mistake has meant that he's 20 points behind Nathan Nicholson in this championship hunt. But they have a bit of a gap to Jared Thomas. And let's do a Jared Thomas breaking news update. In 2 laps, Jared Thomas has gained 9 positions. We'll continue this report as the race goes along and bring you more news as it continues to unfold.
Film at 11. Snap. BSI Racing then with the lead. Tyler Gonzalez will be kicking himself for dropping a wee bit further down the field, but Nate Cicero back up in the second now, that lightly coloured car, the second of the blue cars in there, blue with the black hood and the white accoutrement down the side. That is number 22 of Jeremy Fletcher. He pulls out to have a little look. Everybody pulls out to have a little look. The draft, the slipstream effect is very big in these cars. if you're new to Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup racing, these cars start life as a regular production Mazda MX-5 with the 2-litre 180 horsepower inline 4-cylinder engine, normally aspirated. They are shipped to the US. I think they come in at Jacksonville actually, so they haven't got far to go to Flis Performance, where the brothers Flis stripped them down, put the engine to one side and put a Mazda Sport tag on it so that it can't be meddled with later. And then basically the car is stripped down to its component parts, and over 250 dedicated racing parts are bolted in, including a SKYACTIV gearbox, a new limited slip diff, different suspension including DSSV, Multimatic dampers, and of course an FIA roll kit, and that sticks up into the air, and that's why the draft is so strong in these cars. As Nate Cicero uses it, it goes back to the lead ahead of Jeremy Fletcher now in second. Elio Meza for the moment dropping down to third position. The yellow and black car in fourth place, just going across the line now, is Nathan Nicholson. Tyler Gonzalez working his way in the number 57 back up into fifth position in the red and white car. Then another blue car. That's the lighter blue and white car, Justin Adeconis from Macumbi Michelin Racing. Those are your top six. And that's not even all of the front group, Shay.
No, it's not, because look who has snuck up into that front group. That would be Weston Workman in the number 13 machine. That's the white and purple BSI. They have a new sponsor on their car this weekend, John. You might notice, Little Caesars. It's a Canadian, the Canadian branch of this pizza chain, and they did have pizza at the BSI 10 last night. So really pleased to see that that managed to come through. It was difficult work from Wesley, Weston's dad, but he did make it happen. And I know the BSI crew was a little bit happier than perhaps some other crews this morning, but that's the magic of what pizza does for you. Also in that group, we've got, what is it, 5 of the MMR machines. I'm very impressed with how they've been able to just sort of stealth up towards the front. Of course, we had Cicero and Fletcher up there earlier, but with Adeconis joining the party, we've also got the 44 of Bobby Gossett hanging on the back, and then Gresham Wagner is in the mix too. It's going to be a very strong run if we continue to go this well, this smoothly, there I said it, sorry, tempting fate, this early on. We're only 37 minutes to go in this race.
Barely scratching the surface at the moment. And you'll see quite a lot of passing and repassing, and be wondering why Shay and I aren't getting massively excited about it. It's because there's still 37 minutes to go, and that is absolutely standard operational procedure. More passes in a Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin race than most other championships have in all season. So we have to pace ourselves, as do the drivers, because there is a bit of a skill here, Shay, and we talk about this probably not enough actually, particularly when the races go all green. Managing the tyres here, fabulous tyres by Michelin as ever, but it is inevitable that the harder you press your tyres, the less performance you will get out of them at the end of the race. And in most races that maybe doesn't matter, particularly if you've built up a lead. Here in Whelen Mazda MX-5, it does matter, because you're almost always going to be battling all the way through to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and one guy who's not at all conserving his tires right now is Jared Thomas, who's already almost caught up to the back of this train. Alex Bashira is the final car in the train, and there's a very small gap before we get back to just Jared Thomas, who just set the fastest lap of the race and is about to reset it because he did a purple sector 1. So Jared is leaving everything on the table now. He's trying to use up his Michelins to catch up to this group, and then hoping that maybe they've battled amongst themselves enough that they've taken an equivalent amount of tire life out of theirs. But one thing that bodes really well, practice 1 yesterday morning, there was not a lot of rubber laid down. I've been talking to some of the locals here. They told me that spiked tires would actually be ideal for the conditions on the track because it was that slippery that it felt more like ice racing than road racing. Now we've got the rubber laid down, but in yesterday's practice, Our fastest lap was set at the end of the 40-minute session, so these Michelins really hung on, as now through to the lead goes Nathan Nicholson.
And he was spot on. Jared Thomas did reset the fastest lap of the race, 1:33.118. He's dragging Bryce Cornet and Ethan Gillard and Marcello Panettia with him. And in fact, everybody behind Jared Thomas, the next, 7 cars, all setting their best laps of the race last time around. And those 2 Sato Motorsport Group cars working together as well in behind the Jared Thomas machine, and they're there now. They took half a second out of the gap between themselves and the top bunch of cars. Now there's a little bit of attack there just a moment or 2 ago, and the Rafa Racing team by MMR Gresham Wagner car in 6th position just got a little bit sideways, lost a couple of places. Western Workman coming through being one of them, so that'll be a slight reset. Still 34 minutes to go, and Nathan Nicholson has led a couple of laps now. We'll keep an eye on the laps led number as well as the fastest lap of the race, because that is all bonus points, Shay, and bonus points are important in 2 ways here. 1, because they can change championships, and 2, because at the end of the championship, points mean
real cash money. There you go, guys. Take a drink. Although if you're out around the track, you've been doing enough of that so far today as I walk through the fans a little bit. So glad to see you guys are enjoying the racing today and helping out the local liquor stores. And LCBO must be empty. Nate Cicero currently has the most bonus points this year. He is up to 80. Jeremy Fletcher has 60, and Gresham Wagner has 30. We've got 9 drivers so far this year who have scored bonus points. Now, I went back through the last 4 seasons and actually did a bit of calculating. The most number of drivers who have ever scored a bonus point in a season was 14, and the most bonus points ever scored in a season was 120 by Gresham Wagner back in 2021. Now, I've been harping on for years about bonus points and about what a difference they make. You get 10 points for pole position, 10 points for leading the most laps, and 10 points for the fastest laps. Last year, if bonus points were not a thing, we would have had a 3-way tie for the championship between Gresham Wagner, Jared Thomas, and Nate Cicero. The championship would have ultimately gone to Gresham Wagner, because he won 3 races. Sorry, I had to build the suspense there. He won 3 races, and the other 2 drivers only won 2. So it wouldn't have changed the ultimate result and who walked away with the $250,000 check, but it does make a difference. And think about it in the other way. If there had been 10 more bonus points on the line that had gone to Nate Cicero or just Jared Thomas or maybe Gresham Wagner, it would have changed the complete complexion of the championship with one fell swoop. So that's why these drivers are fighting out there, jostling as hard as they can to be leading the pack, because right now, Elio Meza has more laps led than anyone else in this race. He would be stealing those 10 bonus points away, and it would only be the second time this season that he's gotten any bonus points to his name.
Jared Thomas up 17 from the back of the grid and is now on the back of the lead group. He has brought Cornet and he's got past Cornet and Cicero, and he's brought the Saito Motorsports pair with him. Parker DeLong is pretty much there as well, as is Noah Harmon and Alex Bashura, and Sally Mott started 6. He's dropped back a little bit. Grant West is pretty much there as well. We are talking 2 tenths and a tenth, and then there's only a gap of 7 seconds between Grant West and Ashland Speed. So the top 18, bar a little bit of daylight, are pretty much together. Wagner with a 1:33.3 last time around, but it's Jared Thomas who is got the 10 points for bonus for fastest lap, should I say. 1:33.118. What a run through the field. Brilliant stuff. And gee, we're talking about drivers coming into the second half of the season. We have had a couple of drivers, well, at least one driver that I noted to change teams since the last time we've seen these cars here.
Yeah, we have Noah Harmon, a Canadian-American. He was born in the GTA, so this is very much a home race for Noah Harmon. He has joined the ranks of BSI Racing for the remainder of this season. A lot happening behind the scenes there, but the good news for Noah is that Shea Holbrook and the entire organization were willing, able, and capable to take him into their fold. Now, Shea Holbrook worked with Noah Harmon a long time back in the spec days. They're very familiar. They've got a good relationship. Noah was able to slot right in. They did some testing with him. It felt right. It was just comfortable, and Noah was happy to join them. But the best news of all, Noah Harmon comes in with another sponsor. He's got Cube 3 on the side of his car this weekend, and for hopefully many weekends going forward. They're a sponsor of another series, but they want to help young drivers. And Noah Harmon is exactly the kind of youngster that they want to see progress, as do we. Noah getting his first podium at Barber Motorsports Park. He would love nothing more than to get his first win here on home turf in Canada. But Noah's got a bit of a way to go, as right now he's running in the 13th spot as Tyler Gonzalez leads that lap across the line too. Just about half a second ahead of the rest of the pack. I'm also keeping an eye on that Sato Motorsports group park, the one that we were just talking about there, John, because with Ethan Goulart, race winner the last time out, and again, rookie race winner the last time out, and Marcelo Panacea. Marcelo is affectionately known as Pac-Man. He is also very much a local driver. Series debut this weekend. We first met him at the shootout. Very impressive young man, and if it happens to be a bit wet tomorrow morning, I've been told by people in the know we need to keep an eye on the Pac-Man because he goes very well when track conditions are a little slippery.
Yeah, but you said Noah and Marcello and Ethan, 34, they're only 3 seconds off the lead, and they are in the lead group. And it's still just under half an hour still to go. Tyler Gonzalez leads, but Elio Meza, best of the rookies, is dragged up to second place. Justin Adam-Connis from Acunda Michelin Racing, second of the rookies in this race. Here's the next car back with that yellow, blue and white car. The yellow and black car next up is Advanced Autosports and Nathan Nicholson. Championship leader, he just needs to keep his nose clean here. Doesn't need to win the race. He'll take the opportunity if he can. But points are what it's all about at this stage of the season. They are running out of races to make the big move. The momentum is good, but consistency is what you need at this point in the season as we head towards our 2 final races at the Motul Petit Le Mans weekend and Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Traditional end of season for Mazda MX-5. Calendar is out for next year. Looks very similar to this season. Couple of detailed changes, but ultimately starting as we have done in the past on the streets of St. Pete's with IndyCar, and then running through the
Daytona.
On Daytona, and then on the streets of St. Pete's with IndyCar, and then following through the rest of the season. And they are the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. Back at Indianapolis, I noticed, was the only major change that I spotted. Dates are roughly at the same time because they're on the IndyCar and IMSA calendar. It's a big dusty moment on the Mario Andretti straight. I think that's a puncture. He pulled out a line. It's either a puncture or a problem for Mazda number 22 and Jeremy Fletcher, but that car was not happy. He did everybody else behind him a solid by pulling off onto the grassed area. Yeah, he's coming into the pit lane. Well, all 4 Michelin tyres have got air in them, Shay, so this is a mechanical of some issue.
This is heartbreaking for Jeremy Fletcher. Again, second in the championship coming into today's race. Would have had a solid lead prior to that. As following him into the pit lane, was that Bobby? No, it was Christian Hodenland of BSI
it's Christian
Racing.
Hodenland.
Oh, gosh, what a lap. Need to find out what happened to Jeremy Fletcher there, because he's going to be credited at this point finishing 25th if he doesn't get back out there, because Glenn McGee, who had the issue early on, came into the pit lane. He did rejoin and only lost a lap. So very strange moment for Jeremy Fletcher. Hodenland did have a left front puncture, but that does not explain what happened to Fletcher.
No. Fletcher is rolling. The question is, does he go out of the pit lane or does he turn hard right back into the paddock? I'll keep an eye on the pit lane timing and the beating at the end of the pit lane and let you know, but this is potentially championship influencing. Hodenland has come out, but Jeremy Fletcher, who was in front of him in the pit lane, I think he's gone behind the wall. I think he's gone behind the wall. And that is huge news here, Shea Adam. Fletcher, who could, perhaps should, have been leading the championship coming in this weekend, but for an indiscretion running to the line. And yeah, he's trundled down to the end of the pit lane and gone no further. The bonnet is up. The team are looking at that car. He was pitted further down than Hodenland. That's why he was still rolling, but that 22 car has now lost the lead lap and will continue to fall down, with Steve Webber and Glenn McGee still running at the moment. As you say, he's going to drop down to 25th position, and that is disastrous for his championship aspirations.
I just checked in with the team and asked what was the problem. They do not know at this point, so that's super frustrating for Jeremy Fletcher. And the only redeeming feature is you don't have to wait a month before the next race. You do get an opportunity tomorrow, assuming that the team can diagnose and fix the issue. For everybody back out on the track, it's the best news possible.
He is out of the pit lane. He has followed, or he has got out. And that number 22 car then, just going through Quebec corner now. The leaders a lap and a third ahead of them. He's actually managed to get out ahead of Glenn McGee, but not by very much. Glenn and Steve Webber circulating together, although a lap apart. His next target is Damon Oki, but he, of course, is a lap ahead. He's the next car on the road ahead of him, if you see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide across the start-finish line, and all of a sudden, at half distance exactly, it's starting to get a bit fractious in that mid-pack shape.
Sorry about that, John. There was just a huge moment as Jared Thomas went around Nathan Nicholson, and Nathan, who didn't see Gresham Wagner then, was attempted to be passed by Gresham. Gresham got the slightest little hip check, and it turned him sideways coming on the start-finish line as all these other cars with more momentum coming out of 10 started going on either side of Gresham, and it was going, please don't pinball into every other car around you. It was a very sketchy moment as Nicholson actually got a bit of help there from Gresham Wagner,
yes,
and then Gresham responded. He went into Bryce Cornier, and hello to Bryce Cornier's watch party back in Mazda in Norman, Oklahoma. I know he's got a big group of fans there watching out. He's definitely showing the bumper. Bryce is trying to put on a show for you guys back home.
BSI take the first 3 positions. Gonzalez, Elio Meza, the best of the rookies. Weston Workman has found his way once again towards the front of the field. No stranger to doing that even in his rookie year. And he's learned a bit more racecraft. He would often get to the front and then lose out in the scramble for positions in the last 4 or 5 laps. Well, he's proved his mettle up front now, has race wins behind him, and there's a gap now beginning to form, and this is dangerous for those not in the lead quartet, because behind Jared Thomas there's 2.1 seconds to the chasing field, and they are too wide coming through turn 1, and that's going to slow them down. Now the leading 4, if they can see this, they can work together. 3 of them are BSI, and the other one is JTR, Jared Thomas Racing. He's the JT of JTR. If they work together and don't fight, they will be able to pull away. But I'm just going to remind you, I'm getting all excited about that, and I've peaked way too early, Shay. There's still 21 minutes to go.
Well, 3 of those 4 will work together very well because they are all under the BSI Racing tent. Gonzalez, Meza, and Workman are drivers who are very aware of what it takes to get it done, to get to the front of the field. Gonzalez, 4 wins so far this year. Workman, win in race number 2 here at CTMP last year, but that doesn't mean that Weston doesn't feel like he has something to prove. Last year, both races, the drivers who crossed the finish line first on the track were not ultimately the race winners because of penalties. So you had Gresham Wagner and Jeremy Fletcher who crossed the lines first, but Nate Cicero and Weston Workman who went home with the biggest trophies. Now, all 4 of those drivers feel as if they have something to prove. The 2 who were disallowed the wins feel like they need to prove that they earned them. The 2 who won the races feel like they need to go out and prove, hey, it wasn't because of the penalties that I won this thing. So it's very interesting when you have 4 guys out there as good as the 4 drivers I just mentioned who are that eager to prove themselves. It's going to be very eventful as Bobby Gossett now has lost his left side skill. Well, almost lost it. It's not where it should be, but it's still on the car.
See if we can work out how that happened as Jared Thomas puts another fastest lap in the race in as he's holding on to that BSI trio. Now watch in the middle of this with Bobby Gossett. Now, where does the bumper get dislodged? Answer right there. Top of the hill at turn 2. Those things don't just fall off on their own normally, do they?
No, it's not as if Mazda forgets to put a nut or a bolt where it should go. These cars are built to perfection when they are delivered to the teams. And yeah, sure, sometimes the teams forget to put things in place. For example, Grant West had an issue in qualifying that resulted in him not accruing any lap times because the team ultimately had to touch the car to make sure that it wasn't broken. There was an issue between the transmission and the engine speaking to each other. They weren't. So the team wanted to make sure that the car would be okay for the race, and ultimately they decided to forego the qualifying session in times to let Grant just start at the back, but ultimately to make sure that the car was okay. It was. Now, when you see a side panel hanging off, as you said, it doesn't get there on its own. And certainly when you push the bounds of track limits, as Bobby Gossett did there, track limits this weekend for the exit of Turn 1 have been extended, as now Justin Adakonis is off the side of the track on the Mario Andretti straight.
Wow.
And he has his driver's side door open. He'll go no further, John.
Yeah, there's a full course yellow. The Whelen Mazda safety car come out. That car looks down on the driver's side. He might have just parked it off the grass on one side. Now he was battling at the sharp end of the field not so very long ago in that leading group. Dropped out of the top 4 and was still there in the group. And he's out of the car. He's leaning back in. Not sure we're going to learn anything from what we can see. It will all come down to what we can find out from the team. The EMR safety crew already there. Now this is going to rejoin the whole pack together. We've still got well over 17 minutes to go. The EMR safety team looking for the driver. Justin has left the scene. I can only imagine how disappointed he is. The question for the safety team is, will that car flat tow or does it need a lift? And also, where is the driver and is he all right? Because even if the car has suffered a problem, or if the car hasn't suffered a problem, has the driver suffered a problem? So safety of the driver, always the first concern. He's got his helmet off. Justin's got his helmet off. He's speaking to the safety team. I think they've asked him to go in to put the car back into neutral and asked him what the problem is. Helmet and hands device is off. He's leaning in through the side of the car. So, good news, bad news for Tyler Gonzalez. He gets to lead another lap, Shay, and nobody can overtake him for the time being. But in addition to the 3 cars that were following behind him, 2 of his teammates and Jared Thomas, now Gresham Wagner, Nathan Nicholson, Bobby Gossett Jr., Marcello Panaccia, Bryce Cornet, Pac-Man, Parker DeLong, Nate Cicero, Ethan Guar, Noah Harmon, Alex Bachura, Grant West, Sally Mott, Ashland Speech. You're getting the picture here. Cody Powell, Jem Hepworth, Minoki, Steve Webb is the first off the lead lap, I reckon. So that is then 20 cars of the original 25 that started that are still on the lead lap. We've got, I reckon, Steve Webb, Christian Hodenland, Jeremy Fletcher and Glenn McGee all just one off the lead lap. No, in fact, you can add 2 of those. So was there a little puff of smoke from Adeconis's car on the downshift going up into Moss Corner? There were 2. That is very suspicious. These cars tremendously reliable, engines and gearboxes. The SADEV gearbox and the differential they have full race items, and they can take much more than the 180 horsepower that the stock engine puts out. The engine is not touched at all, hence all the reliability. Does have a performance Bosch ECU, but that is mainly for flat shift and upshift and downshift, and to, as Shea rightly said earlier, get the engine talking to the gearbox, as it isn't the standard 6-speed H-pattern gearbox, but a sequential flat shift both ways. So auto blip down, flat shift up, flat shift up. I'm going to just take back what I said. I think there's now 22 cars on the lead lap. So it's only Jeremy Fletcher and Glenn McGee who are not on the lead lap, and they won't get a wave by. 13 and a half or thereabouts. Now the worry will be, Shea, is if there's some kind of lockup in the transmission on Jason Adeconis's car.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very strange that we have mechanical issues on these cars, and it's very strange that it's 2 cars from the same team. My initial instinct is to go all paranoid, but I'm going to suppress those feelings. Yeah, the car should be okay. Hopefully Justin can get that repaired. The MMR crew, Stu McAleer and Kevin Domer, I know that they're 2 of the best in the biz, so hopefully they'll be able to diagnose it and fix it so that we do not lose Justin for tomorrow's race. He's going on vacation next week, but don't need to start that vacation any sooner than initially intended.
How's he doing in the rookie championship?
Justin is doing fairly well in the overall championship. He's 8th in points. He is the 3rd best rookie behind Noah Harmon, who leads the way just ahead of Ethan Goulart, the race winner in race number 2 at Mid-Ohio. Justin with a very stable year so far. He's been the best finishing rookie in 2 of the 8 races, so he's actually had a very good showing. And good to see they're able to do a tow for the Mazda that was stuck out on the track. It will be 1 more lap behind the safety car by the look of it, because the car is just now coming down the Mario Andretti straight. So we should get 1 more lap. That means that Tyler Gonzalez will have led 13 laps of action by the time we get back to green. That means nobody else can pass him, so Tyler Gonzalez wins the bonus points for that.
There was a little bit of contact on Justin Adeconis's car just before he started to have the problem, and I think that was Bobby Gossett Jr. who was pushing him, which is his teammate. Now, all right, we say teammates, they're under the same awning, run by the same team, but ultimately, much as is in IndyCar, there's a point where teammates are teammates in name only, and ultimately it is every driver for themselves in terms of the championship. But it was very, very light touch. Great work by the recovery team. They've lifted the front wheels, the rear wheels are turning on the number 23 McCumbee McAleer Racing Mazda MX-5. So it wasn't a locked transmission. Very odd indeed. Now the good news is that our Whelen Mazda MX-5 safety car, I noticed it's a full convertible up here in Canada, not the hard top that we often has, and of course as the air temperature has been around 30 Celsius all day, so around about 88, 90 Fahrenheit. The top is down. I'm sure the aircon will be on as well in that car, and the lights are out. For those of you back in the UK and Europe. You'll be saying, I wish it was only 31 Celsius at the moment. It's been ridiculously hot in Central and Southern Europe. Even the UK up to 34 degrees over the last few days, knocking on 100 Fahrenheit. And set to go on for this weekend, those temperatures back in the UK and Europe. Hello to those of you tuned in the UK at just on 11 o'clock. So welcome to Sunday morning if you're in Central Europe and on the CEST, Central European Summertime. Thanks for spending Super Saturday with us. We'll reconvene tomorrow, another Mazda race. And of course, the feature, the Chevrolet Grand Prix, 2 hours and 40 minutes. LMP2s, GTD Pros and the GTD categories. 35 cars for the racing tomorrow. And we'll have that for you live and uninterrupted, as we will with race 2 of the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin, and in sound and vision on the IMSA YouTube channel. Tyler Gonzalez now, having had a little while to chill out, stretch his hands out. Somebody into the pit lane from the middle of the pack, so they've got a problem as well, and that was certainly somewhere around about the top 10. It was Bobby Gossett Jr. So has he, I don't see that he's got a drive through, so maybe that contact caused him some problems as well. So he falls down the order. Not great for McCumbee McAleer Racing then. Although Jeremy Fletcher is back out, of course, but Justin Adeconis is not. So 3 of their cars in strife. As the leading pair, Tyler Gonzalez for BSI, Elio Meza for BSI, and Westman Workman, who worked his way to 3rd across the line at least. But the lead pair have got away here. Weston Workman's let his teammates break away. And in fact, through has gone Jared Thomas. 68's gone off. Now that is the Steve Webber driven Sally Mott lookalike car. Well, no, that is the Sally Mott spare car. And that, I think, is going to be another full course yellow off at Quebec corner, turn 3, Shay.
I think you're right on that, John. Unfortunately for Steve, it didn't look like he was going to get the car back into gear and moving once again. And yes, the double yellow is out, so the field is frozen once again. 7 minutes, 50 seconds to go. And Tyler Gonzalez with the lead, Elio Meza in 2nd, but there's a question for 3rd, as Jared Thomas was there, Gresham Wagner also there in 5th.
Correct.
Is now Nathan Nicholson, and Weston Workman shuffled back in all that chaos. Yeah, Steve Webber unable to extract the car himself.
So very tight for 3rd, 4th and 5th as the yellows came out. Jared Thomas had taken the place from, oh dear, that was a big off. Much bigger than I'd realised, actually. Unabated speed through the top of the hill at Quebec corner. And the good news is Steve's all right. The MR safety crew there, he's trying, I think in vain, to get the car out of gear or into reverse. No, he's given up. He's going to get out of the car. Let me go back to the situation for 3rd, and this could be significant. Jared Thomas had got by Weston Workman, and Weston is ultimately, as they cross the line, Weston's being shuffled back to 7th. But we would go back to where the yellow flag came out, and Jared Thomas was side by side with Gresham Wagner in the Rafa Racing team. And I can't tell you who was ahead there as they were coming into turn 8. They might have to go back to the previous timing point, but it was very close indeed between the chevron red and white number 96 with the yellow roll hoop and the red and white Rafa car with the black roll hoop. We might have to go back and have a wee look at that. I'm sure that that's what race control will be doing. It was just as they came over the brow on the Andretti straight towards turn number 8 when the yellow was called. And then I think Jared Thomas was ahead, but it was very, very tight. And I think he'll hold on to that third position, about where they are on the track now when the yellow came out for Steve Webber. And just looking at the moment as to where they're lining up. So this is when the caution came out, Shay. Forget the first two, look at the second two. Ooh, that is so tight.
Ooh.
Caution is out about now. Oh, that is so tight. I think the car on the left-hand side, which is Jared, I don't think he lost third, but my goodness, that was tight. And we've seen places, indeed, we've seen wins be decided on when yellows came out and when passes were made before yellows came out. Think back a couple of 3 seasons to Daytona.
Yeah, with Michael Carter. When his dad shouted at him on the roof, go for the move now, he did, and then the yellow came out right after that had been completed. It was very tight, and to be honest, I think the bigger issue with Gresham and Jared there was Gresham would have gotten the corner potentially if we had stayed green. He would have been ahead by the time they got on the start-finish line, but he wasn't quite there yet, so it was Jared Thomas's corner at that moment in time. As we are now down to 4 minutes to go in this race. Cars are still behind the safety car and the lights are on as we come through turn 1. Maybe green, white checkers if we can get back to that. And now I can't quite see completely into race control because there's a door blocking all the last TVs. But the TVs I can see, they're not looking at positioning. So I think race control is happy with where everybody is as Steve Webber's replacement car is being dragged away.
And I've got some great news for you. The safety car lights are out. It's a flat toe for the number 68 Sally Mott racing car, loaned to Steve Webber this weekend. And indeed, the Whelen safety car is already foot down and pulling away. Got to be a little bit careful because we've got a wrecker truck in front of them. So that's got to get back off the circuit. But he will pull off just as they go through turn number 9. There's a place for him to get off the circuit there. I think we could be going full stock car and green-white checker here. You're just loving this shit, aren't you? Now we can get excited. Now we can get excited. So here's how they stand. Tyler Gonzalez, BSI Racing. Elio Meza in the dark blue and white car in second, BSI Racing. JTR's Jared Thomas in the Chevron classic red and white colours. Then Gresham Wagner in the white car with the red wing tops. The black and yellow is Nathan Nicholson. That's your top 4. The Pac-Man is up into 6th position ahead of Western Workman. We've restarted. They're broken out into 2x2 further back, but the leading group are still nose to tail, or at least tail to nose, I suppose, if you are Tyler Gonzalez. But what pressure he's got on. Elio Meza, and here comes Jared Thomas. Wily campaigner Gresham Wagner picking his line. Nathan Nicholson, our championship leader. Then the Pac-Man. What a drive through the field it's been for the Saito Motorsport Group driver as well in that number 19.
Yeah, Marcelo's definitely showing that he belongs on this grid, whether it's more races this year or a full season campaign next year for Rookie of the Year. Marcelo is a name that we're going to be reckoning with a lot because the Pac-Man clearly has some superpowers in these cars.
And second best of the rookies by some margin. Elio Meza in second is the best of the rookies, but the next rookie pairing is Ethan Guar and Noah Harmon, and they're in 11th and 12th. I mean, they're not a million miles away. Saito Motorsport Group teammate to Marcello in 6th, but they're going to have to pass some cars, and now it's side by side. Nathan Nicholson and Gresham Wagner. Wagner to the inside will have the advantage as they come through the final corner, and he blocks 2 drivers right to make sure Nathan can't go down the inside. Jared Thomas has dropped back from 3rd to, I think, 5th position as they go across the line. Yes, confirmed. One final lap, 2.459 miles, just under 4 kilometres, and the leading pair at the moment are doing exactly the right thing. They're on the optimum racing line. There's no battling right now, but here come the pack. Gresham Wagner is leading 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars, and they're nearly back together, but nearly is not back together, Shay, and Nathan Nicholson out of line there. That's not going to help those guys draft back up to the leading pair.
No, it's not, but we've seen this sort of car body language from Gresham Wagner before. He wants this win. He charged up through Jared Thomas and Nathan Nicholson. Very demanding body language where the car was saying, I'm going here, you can hit me and we can both wreck, or you can let me through. Very aggressive and decisive driving from Gresham, and now he is fully in the draft from the 2 BSI cars ahead of him. He's going to make his move going into 8. The question is whether he'll be close enough to actually make it stick. And the other question, is Elio Mesa going to be happy settling for second? Is Tyler Gonzalez going to get win number 5, or is Elio going to pull out and go for his first win?
2 BSI cars. The red car leads the blue car. I've heard that somewhere before. Bit of a sideways motion from Elio Mesa. I don't think he's got it, but who's going to be third? Big dive from Jared Thomas late on. It's going to be the BSI twins who take it, and the red car beats the blue car. It's Tyler Gonzalez taking his 5th of the year from Elio Mesa in second. He's the best of the rookies. Gresham Wagner holds on to third, and more importantly for the championship, for Nathan Nicholson, the Advanced Autosports car comes home in 4th position. He didn't need to get involved in any argy-bargy at the end there. That was smart racing. Weston Workman ahead of Jared Thomas in the scramble for the minors. The BSI racing car in 5th, ahead of Thomas in 6th. Parker DeLong in 7th. Spark Performance, Bryce Cornet in 8th, and perhaps just showing a little bit of naivety at the end there, Marcello Panettia for Saito Motorsport Groups, and dropped down to 9th position when possibly a top 5 was on the cards. Donuts for Tyler Gonzalez. Almost as sweet as the pizza from one of the other teams, I'm sure. Top 10, Nate Cicero comes home in 10th for Macumbi Matalia Racing in a day that MMR will want to forget, with the 3 of their cars in trouble. Jeremy Fletcher, a lap off the lead, will take home points for 20 seconds. 22nd position. Unofficially, subject to post-race tech, it's Gonzalez, Mesa and Wagner in the top 3 positions. The second place driver, Elio Mesa, is the best of the rookies. Nathan Nicholson, Workman, Jared Thomas, Parker DeLong, Bryce Cornet, Marcello Panettia in 9th, another of the rookies, and Nate Cicero. I think all of those positions behind the lead 2 pretty much changed in the last lap or the last corner. Outside the top 10, Noah Harmon and Ethan Guard, couple of rookies, Alex Bashira, Grant West, Ashlyn Speed coming up to 15th, ahead of Sally Motso. She's the best of the female drivers. Well done, Ashlyn, for Hendricks Motorsport. Bobby Gossett Jr. recovers to 17th, ahead of Jem Hepworth, Cody Powell, Christian Hardenland. Deminoki pitted, but will still be credited with 21st position, and everybody else had problems. Jeremy Fletcher, Glenn McGee running at the end, but Steve Webber and Justin Adeconis with issues. Steve in the wall in the backup car, and Justin Adeconis with a weird technical that took him out on the back straight. But no doubt about who won that one. The red car beat the blue car. Tyler Gonzalez takes it from Elio Mesa, his teammate. A good day for BSI with Weston Workman in the top 5 as well. Very quickly, Shay, the championship positions.
Nathan Nicholson continues to lead the way, 2,360 points. Into second place is Jared Thomas, 2,300. He's 10 points ahead of Tyler Gonzalez.
Plenty of action as we head to the second race tomorrow. Make sure that you join us on behalf of Shay Adam here in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre and all of our crew on site at Concord and in London. I'm John Hindorf. Thanks for joining us for Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup.